Extraterrestrial life has always been a subject that sparks humanity's endless curiosity. Recently, NASA released shocking images of extraterrestrial life, sparking immense excitement among the public and the scientific community. NASA releases image proving the existence of life on Pluto. Recently, NASA released a shocking image of Pluto. On the planet's surface, there seems to be something moving. Many therefore believe that distant dwarf planet harbors life. This image was captured by the New Horizons spacecraft, first launched in 2006. This is considered part of the New Frontiers program. On July 14, 2015, the spacecraft flew past Pluto's surface at a distance of 12,500 kilometers. This made it the first spacecraft to explore a dwarf planet, while also sending back countless close-up images. The documents in this investigation have sparked heated debates in the scientific community. Right after NASA announced the information, astronomer and image analysis expert Mark D'Antonio shared, "New Horizons has brought us completely new images of Pluto, unlike anything we've ever known before. You can imagine it like a shell and a head, looking really bizarre. I have to admit, it looks like that thing is moving, definitely a real space screw." American astronomer Seed Sostak explained why such a discovery could overturn existing scientific laws. He stated that Pluto's surface is an extremely harsh environment for life, making it completely uninhabitable. If you come here, your entire body will freeze in just a few seconds. All that remains of you is a skeleton. If the skeleton isn't strong enough, your body will collapse like a pile of broken pieces. Snail mail. But this very discovery could reveal another conspiracy involving the possibility of life existing on Pluto. Though demoted to a dwarf planet, Pluto still harbors geological activity deep beneath its surface. Astronomer David Acular added that this plane on Pluto is named Sputnik Planitia. Many people think this is a lifeless world, but in reality, it's quite the opposite. Pluto is in fact a planet with diverse and complex terrain. NASA scientists believe that nitrogen has been pushed to the planet's surface over thousands of years. But because the ice was less mobile and denser, it caused the phenomenon of ice floating on the surface of nitrogen. Imagine a lava lamp with light shining from the bottom up. This is exactly the same thing happening on Pluto. The ancient snails were likely frozen, gradually forming a massive block of ice over time, drifting slowly along the river of nitrogen. But scientists have not necessarily proposed the hypothesis that this anomaly opens new hope for life. We believe that life exists right on the surface of Earth. But who knows, if you dig a really big lake on Pluto, you might discover some bacteria living there. The scientific community was stunned to discover a pipe-shaped object abandoned on Saturn's moon Iapetus. Of all the moons in the solar system, Iapetus is one of the strangest. This strange moon of Saturn is less than half the size of Earth's moon and is named after a spear-wielding Titan god. But it's a tangled web of mysteries. The moon was squeezed misshapen at both ends, resembling a walnut with a front as black as coal and a back gleaming white, girdled by a belt of jagged, knife-sharp mountain ranges. Even its path is truly unusual. Iapetus is 3 times farther from Saturn than Titan, its closest neighbor. The orbit of this planet is tilted, so as it moves around the Sun, it oscillates up and down. Unlike other conventional satellites that lie in the same plane as Saturn's rings. In other words, it's like a maverick in the Saturnian system. The moon prefers sneaking off to skip school and lurking around over playing soccer with the kids. One of the strangest unsolved mysteries about Iapetus is the enigmatic weld marks. Shooting straight like an arrow, along 3/4 of the moon's equator. This object is enormous, standing about 20 kilometers tall and stretching up to 200 kilometers wide. In the solar system, there is nothing else like it. In 2004, scientists first discovered this strange trace. And since then, the astronomy community has had lively debates. Astronomers from around the world have made their own predictions. Some believe that Iapetus could be an abandoned spaceship. Before human civilization emerged, extraterrestrials had already set foot in the solar system. And they left after thoroughly examining the entire solar system. But somehow, they left a spacecraft in orbit around Saturn. Since then, the spacecraft has orbited Saturn and become one of the planet's satellites. However, this hypothesis has not gained widespread consensus in academic circles. Because so far, we still cannot determine its true function based solely on a few seemingly similar welds. Some suggest that the lunar scar is actually a massive mountain range formed by geological activity within the moon's interior. Perhaps a phenomenon similar to plate tectonics or volcanic activity on Earth caused the terrain to rise along the equator. Very convincing, because the moon. Signs of high-temperature geological activity. The scientists later suggested that the mountain might have formed due to the moon's rotation suddenly slowing down. Initial simulation models indicate that a day on the moon typically lasts only about 16 hours. However, currently, a day on Aepethos lasts as long as 79 Earth days, equivalent to the time it takes the moon to complete one orbit around Saturn. According to them, a powerful collision likely caused Aepethos to enter its current spinning state, while also generating a twisting force that deformed its outer shell. But most of these hypotheses also predict other unusual geological features or focus on the crust with a specific thickness. Perhaps, the mountain range is the remnant of an ancient moon, a satellite of the moon itself. Andrew Dombert from the University of Illinois hypothesizes that, at some point during the early evolutionary stages of the solar system, the moon Aepethos may have once had a small companion satellite, about 100 kilometers in diameter. It remains unclear whether Aepethos captured a small moon or if this moon formed from debris ejected after a major collision. Yet in the end, that little companion ventured too close to Aepethos, the giant star, and was torn apart by its crushing gravity. Dombert stated that when the satellite shattered, its debris formed a ring around Aepethos' equator. Finally, the rain belt poured down on the satellite, leaving behind a towering mountain range. In 2011, another research group made a similar proposal. This time, the impact was so powerful that it formed a massive ring and a small satellite. The belt will continue to form at the foot of the mountain, while the satellite will crash into Aepethos and create one of its vast impact basins along with its giant crater. Recent evidence, gathered from the shape of the mountain slope, suggests that debris falling from above could hold significant meaning. It looks like when you hold a handful of sand and gently let each grain fall to form a small pile. However, why does the mountain range run along only 3/4 of the equator without being explained in this scenario? Overall, it remains unclear how Aepethos created those strange mountains. But the idea of a moon with its own moon or a moon encircled by a ring holds a peculiar fascination. It's truly unfortunate that Aepethos had to use the old, battered car to crush their little friend into tiny fragments. Evidence of UFO sightings during NASA's Apollo 7 mission has been documented. A recently released photo, claimed to be evidence of an unidentified flying object, UFO, was captured by NASA astronauts during the Apollo 7 mission. UFO Hunter's Apollo 7 entered Earth when the first manned spacecraft successfully landed on the moon. When the female astronaut of Apollo 7 soared past Earth at over 17,000 miles per hour. They captured images of Earth from above. According to Scott Waring, a renowned UFO expert and conspiracy theorist, he claims that one of the photos taken by the Apollo 7 spacecraft captured an image of a blue unidentified flying object, UFO, hovering outside Earth. The photo was taken by NASA in the northwest region of Argentina. According to NASA's archival documents, the salt flat region of Salar de Arizaro, Salinas Grandes, Salar de Pocitos is located in the lower left corner of the image. Mr. Waring believes that the bright green streak is actually an alien spacecraft. I just discovered a photo taken by NASA during the Apollo 7 mission in 1968. And in the top left corner, an unidentified flying object, UFO, with a green color was captured. This UFO is unlike any spacecraft I've ever known, appearing as an unidentified flying object passing by the Apollo 7 module. This photo provided me with a lot of information, including the exact locations of the modules, the capture date, the camera type, and many other details. The photo was taken with an HCOP LAT camera using an 80mm focal length lens in medium format. This photo was taken with Kodak X-Tac Chrome 64 film. I reviewed the photos taken before and after that moment, but the object did not appear in any form whatsoever. This is the only photo that captured this strange object. Perhaps this is a sign that extraterrestrials are observing our Apollo 7 mission. The photo sparked a debate with many opposing viewpoints. Many people expressed fascination with the bright blue streak captured in the photo released by NASA. However, to date, there has been no concrete evidence proving the existence of alien spacecraft that have visited Earth. Conversely, scientists can explain why many UFO experts believe they have seen aliens in the photos released by NASA. An interesting phenomenon called pareidolia allows us to easily associate familiar images from inanimate objects. The phenomenon of pareidolia causes humans to tend to recognize familiar shapes or patterns in places where they don't actually exist. NASA explains that pareidolia is a psychological phenomenon where humans tend to recognize familiar images, such as faces or objects, from clouds, rock cracks, or other random shapes. This phenomenon occurs in many places on Earth and throughout the universe. Creatures capable of living on Mars must possess extremely unique shapes and survival abilities. Recently, the discovery of water on Mars has led NASA to believe that the possibility of life existing on this planet is very high. However, with harsh natural conditions such as low temperatures, a thin atmosphere, and extremely low oxygen levels, only 0.13%, could any organisms possibly survive here? Spinorhoricus is the most adept anaerobic creature at hiding on Mars. Spinorhoricus is an invertebrate animal, with a body only a few millimeters thick. They were discovered at a depth of 3,000 meters beneath the Atalant continental shelf in the Mediterranean Sea, an area with extremely high salt concentration and virtually no oxygen. This indicates that Spinorhoricus can not only withstand extreme pressure but also thrive in an oxygen-free environment. NASA stated that the water on Mars is salty, with a higher salinity level than Earth's oceans. The atmosphere of Mars contains very little oxygen. Therefore, they are considered capable of thriving on Mars. In 2014, NASA's Curiosity rover detected the presence of methane gas plumes on Mars. Gas is often produced by chemical reactions in living organisms. Immediately, scientists raised questions about the origin of that gas. One hypothesis suggests that methanogenic bacteria on Earth are related to methane archaea. Methanogens are among the simplest and earliest types of bacteria to appear on Earth. They use heterogas and CO2, gases that make up to 95% of Mars' atmosphere. The metabolic process produces methane as the primary byproduct. According to research from the University of Arkansas, methane-producing archaea can survive even in extreme environments. They can survive in low-pressure environments, requiring neither oxygen nor light for photosynthesis. Therefore, many researchers conclude that methanogens are among the most potential candidates capable of surviving on Mars. When it comes to organisms capable of surviving the harshest conditions, cyanobacteria cannot be overlooked. Cyanobacteria. On Earth, cyanobacteria appeared more than 2.8 billion years ago and are now widespread everywhere. Beneath the ocean, in freshwater, soil and rocks, deserts, and even the permafrost at Earth's polar regions. Could cyanobacteria exist on Mars? Many scientists believe the answer is yes. Because cyanobacteria can survive even in extremely harsh environmental conditions. From scorching deserts to freezing polar regions, and even in severely oxygen-deprived environments. However, many other experts argue that the presence of cyanobacteria on Mars is highly unlikely. They concluded that cyanobacteria not only have the ability to photosynthesize and produce oxygen but also reproduce extremely rapidly. In fact, many theories suggest that this very species was the source of Earth's oxygen today. Therefore, if cyanobacteria truly exist on the surface of Mars, this planet requires an oxygen concentration higher than the current 0.13% level known to us. However, scientists raise the question, should we experiment with introducing cyanobacteria to Mars? With the goal of transforming this planet into a place where humans can live. Actually, lichen is not a distinct organism. This is the result of the symbiosis between fungi and algae or cyanobacteria. On Earth, lichens can thrive in the harshest environments, such as the Arctic, deserts, or coastal cliffs. Therefore, many believe that lichens could potentially survive on Mars, especially since this area has been confirmed to have the presence of water. Traditional medicine is a promising candidate, but perhaps the water bear might be the most likely creature to be discovered on Mars. The water flea, scientifically known as tardigrade, is a microorganism that lives in aquatic environments. The fossils of this species date back approximately 530 million years. What makes this creature truly special is its rare ability to be immortal. They can survive anywhere, even in the harshest environments. The adult water bear can survive at temperatures of -273 degrees Celsius, nearly reaching absolute zero. Additionally, they can withstand radiation levels 1,000 times higher than ordinary organisms. Not only that, but the water bear also astonishes the scientific community with its ability to survive for centuries without water. They are the only known creatures capable of surviving in space without protective gear. So, if the immortal Thaddeus red bug is discovered living on Mars, it wouldn't be all that strange.